In today's video, I'm going to show you how to bench bleed a master cylinder. Bench bleeding a master cylinder is simply getting the air out of the master cylinder bore before the master cylinder is installed onto the car. Some cars, if you install the master cylinder prior to bleeding it, can be very difficult to get the air out of it. So that is why you bench bleed it. Bench bleeding is done when the master cylinder is brand new and it's out of the box and you're getting ready to install it on the car. Normally, during a bleeding of the brakes, you don't need to bench bleed the master cylinder. So again, yeah, it's just when the master cylinder is new and you want to install it on the car. So we have our master cylinder in the vise, and just from the shot from the rear here, we have some of the ports. That's where the flare nuts are going to go. That's where the brake lines go. We have the primary piston in the back. That's that black circle. And then those two other holes are the ears that hold the master cylinder to the car. And that's what we're going to put into the vise. The flare nuts come in many different sizes. This kit here has 12 different sizes, both metric and standard, and some variations amongst each of those. So it's very important that when you find the fitting for the master cylinder bleeding, that it screws into the master cylinder by hand. You should just be able to take these out one at a time and try each size until you find one that fits. So just very carefully put it in there. If it screws in by hand, it should take really no effort, then that's the size that you need. So I have the master cylinder in the vise. I've already found out and located the correct size fittings. So like I said, I just thread that in by hand, real nice and easy. I have a pair of pliers here, and I am just lightly snugging up these fittings. If I don't, I'll have air in the system, so I just need to lightly snug them up. They do have a wrench fitting on it, but it's just easier for us here at the school to use the pliers. Install a rubber hose on each of the fittings. In this case, I have two fittings, so I have two hoses. I'm going to fill the master cylinder with clean brake fluid. This car in this demonstration takes .3, so that's the type of fluid we're putting in, but it'd be .4, whatever your car recommends. I'm holding the hoses in the master cylinder with my right hand. Now I'm going to compress the piston with my left hand. And as I'm pushing with my left hand, I'm pulling with my right hand. I'm pulling both of those parts together, nice and slow. And with my left hand, I'm releasing that primary piston real nice and slow with my left hand. I don't want to do it too quick because then I can aerate the fluid. So push in with the left hand, hold it there for a few seconds, give the air a chance to rise to the top, slowly let it back out. Now I'm going to do this several times. If you go too quickly, you will aerate the fluid. You'll have little teeny tiny bubbles that'll be very difficult to remove. And now I'm just looking at the hoses, and they should be running clear brake fluid. So I just want to take a look at them, make sure the brake fluid is clear without any bubbles in it, and that's how I know I'm done bench bleeding it. There's not a certain number of times you have to push it, but you do want to check these hoses here to make sure there's no air in them. Okay, I got all the air out of it. It's looking pretty good. Want to take the hoses out. And the master cylinder right now will drain the fluid out. It's just like gravity bleeding. The fluid will just flow right out of there. So uh, I want to get the fluid out and we're going to dump it into a drain pan. So after you're done ventilating the master cylinder, we're not going to install it on the car. We're just going to clean up our mess here. Make sure there's no brake fluid on the floor because this can be very, very messy. And here you can even see the brake fluid dripping out of that first fitting. When you're gravity bleeding, that's how it looks at the top. I've bench blade master cylinders without gloves on before, but now that we do have gloves as part of your PPE here, I suggest that you use them. There is no sense in just getting brake fluid on your hands for no reason, so the gloves are a handy addition here. Brake fluids put away, old stuff dumped in the drain pan, cap back on the master cylinder, fittings out of the master cylinder,